Think about how you use a book index. If you need to know about quantum thermodynamics, you don't read the dust jacket or scan the table of contents. You flip to the back, look up the word, and get the exact page number. That's effective information retrieval. Now look at this infographic. Imagine your entire corporate data library is like this one massive monolithic 50-page PDF stack on the left. The RAG system didn't create an index. Instead, it's like trying to find a specific data point by only reading the front and back cover of that giant book. When you ask the system, where is the specific content on page 37? You can see the question right there on the search bar. It doesn't flip to page 37. It treats the whole 50 pages as one single block. As the flow indicates, it searches the entire block at once. And since the start of a document, introduction, and the end, conclusion, often hold the most common general terms, guess which pages are most similar to a general text chunk search. Page 1 and page 50. Those two icons are pulled as highest for similarity. Here's the pattern interrupt. The fault is not in the generation. The LLM did not hallucinate. The retrieved context genuinely did not contain the answer. The model generated precisely from what it was given, introduction and conclusion text, and produced a plausible sounding yet fundamentally wrong response. We didn't give it a chance. Meanwhile, follow that red line to the consequence box at the bottom. Your actual answer on that highlighted page 37 was right there, sitting in a specific paragraph. But because we never split the large document, that answer was essentially hidden in plain sight. This is a classic chunk failure. The system failed to find a detail not because the retrieval algorithm was weak, but because we never gave it small enough units to grab. This isn't a minor hiccup, it's a structural roadblock that keeps your AI from ever getting past generic top-level answers. To solve this, we can't just throw more computing power at the retrieval step. We have to change how we prepare the document before the RAG system even takes a look. And that leads us to the critical concept of smart indexing. Imagine checking out knowledge from a library. One system lets you borrow an entire multi-volume encyclopedia at once. Another lets you borrow exactly one chapter. A third hyper-intelligent system hands you just the specific pages tracking a single continuous idea. You are balancing different granularities for different levels of precision. That is exactly how we solved the chunking problem we just looked at. Look at the three strategies shown here in the top half of our infographic. We have options ranging from blunt force speed to surgical AI-powered accuracy. On the left under the first column, we start with fixed size chunking. This is the brute force approach. We tell the system to blindly slice our text every 512 tokens, adding a 50 token overlap. Now, duplicating 50 tokens at every boundary sounds like a complete waste of storage. Why duplicate data? Here's the pattern interrupt. Without that overlap, an answer that lands exactly on a chunk boundary is split right down the middle. The left half scores too low to be retrieved, and the right half arrives with zero context. That 50 token overlap is the cheapest insurance policy you can buy in any RAG pipeline, even if it occasionally breaks a sentence in half. If you want to respect the natural flow of human writing, shift your eyes to the middle column. Recursive character text splitting. This is the LangChain default for a reason. Instead of a hard mathematical cut, it uses a cascade of rules. It tries to split by paragraphs first. If a paragraph is too big, it drops down to look for sentence boundaries. If a sentence is still too large, it splits by words. It keeps your text structure intact, ensuring whole thoughts stay together in a logical, readable format. For the highest possible quality, look at the third column on the right, semantic chunking. This strategy doesn't look at character counts or punctuation. It actually passes each individual sentence through an embedding model, maps them out, and calculates their meaning. Follow that wave-like graph in the box. The system tracks topic similarity over time and triggers a split only when the topic similarity drops off a cliff. It groups by theme, making it incredibly precise, though it requires the most compute power because you are running embeddings just to slice your text. Finally, cast your eyes to the chunk size trade-off axis at the bottom. This is the ultimate production decision every engineer must make. Go with larger chunks like the bucket on the bottom left and you give the LLM rich, sweeping context, but you dilute your retrieval precision with a lot of irrelevant background noise. Shrink down to smaller chunks like the dropper on the bottom right and you extract highly precise targets with zero noise, but you risk truncating the surrounding context entirely. Choosing your chunking strategy is only half the battle because once these chunks are cut, they have to be converted into something a computer can actually search. Look at the far left of this architectural diagram. This is where your raw documents, whether they are PDF files, HTML web scripts, markdown files, or raw code, first enter the data pipeline. Before we can slice anything into pieces, a parser must step in to extract clean, unformatted text from those raw files. Once that clean text is isolated, it flows right into the chunking processor block, where a splitter applies whichever strategy you selected back in our last step to break the text apart. Directly following the splitter, look at that metadata attachment block in the center. Here, the system stamped each individual chunk with its specific source, page number, document position, and a unique chunk identifier. Now here is the pattern interrupt. Metadata is absolutely not optional. A chunk without a source and a page number is an answer that can never have a citation. In any production grade RAG application, every single chunk carries the definitive path back to its origin. When a user clicks a view source button, they are reading the chunk's metadata directly, not triggering a second search. If you strip this metadata at chunking time, you destroy your ability to cite anything downstream. Once stamped, follow the arrow to the right into the embedding queue, where those need blocks from chunk n-1 to chunk n+1 line up to be transformed into vectors. But to prevent the exact boundary errors we discussed earlier, we deployed two crucial boundary safety patterns, which you can see isolated on the far right. Look at the top pattern on the right, chunk overlap. You can see chunk n and chunk n+1 stacked, showing how the last 50 tokens of chunk n are intentionally repeated at the start of chunk n+1. This ensures that any critical fact sitting right on a boundary line isn't split and lost. Now look directly below that at the parent-child chunking pattern. This is a game changer. Instead of compromising on chunk size, we create tiny 100 token child chunks for retrieval precision. But we link them to a larger 500 token parent chunk. We retrieve using the small hyperfocus child vector. But we hand the massive parent chunk over to the LLM so it has full generation context. By structuring our data pipeline this way, we ensure that every piece of information is perfectly shaped, fully trackable, and safe from boundary cuts before it ever hits our vector database. But formatting the text is only half the battle. Next, we have to look at how these process chunks are actually converted into mathematical vectors and stored for lightning fast retrieval. Look at the two systems shown here on the main panels. When you move past simple tutorials and build real-world AI applications, generic text splitters fall completely flat. Companies like Cursor and Notion I don't use arbitrary token counts to slice data. They build their chunking engines around the actual syntax and visual structure of the document itself. On the left, look at how Cursor handles code-based indexing with AST-aware chunking. When you look at that code file moving into the chunk processor, the system parses the code into an abstract syntax tree represented by that small tree graphic on the right of the block. Cursor doesn't slice code at 512 tokens just because a tutorial recommended it. Here is the pattern interrupt. It slices strictly at function and class boundaries. A function that is 300 tokens is kept as one chunk. A function that is 800 tokens is still kept as one chunk. A function that is 800 tokens is still kept as one single chunk. Why? Because a function retrieved without its imports or cut in half is something the LLM can never understand. Cursor derives its strategy directly from the engineering failure mode, even prepending the file's main import block as metadata to every single code chunk. So the AI always has dependency context. If this is the kind of engineering detail you want to understand, subscribe. Every Thursday, one RAG concept from zero to production scale. Now, shift your eyes to the right panel to see how Notion AI handles unstructured rich text using block type chunking. Look at the doc chunk layout near the top of that section. Instead of counting words, Notion AI treats a heading and all of its nested content as one single unbreakable retrieval unit. Look just below that at the table chunk diagram. If you have a massive table, a fixed token split will randomly chop rows in half and lose the column titles. Notion AI turns each individual table row into its own chunk, but it automatically attaches the main column headers as metadata to that row. Both of these engineering giants share the exact same production principle. Treating content structure as the chunking boundary prevents mid-concept splits, which are simply retrieval failures waiting to happen. But knowing how to split your data perfectly is only half the equation. Once these structured chunks are created, how do we evaluate if they are actually working in production? Now we have to deal with the inevitable. What does a chunking bug actually look like when your application is live? It is often subtle. The user asks a query, retrieval fires, and the system correctly pulls context from the right master document. The LLM, however, provides a flatly wrong answer. The user naturally reports a hallucination. The failure point, however, is likely not the generation. On the left side of this infographic, follow the 4 diagnostic steps. Step 1 is the most critical. When the user flags a bad answer, you must instantly log and inspect the specific top K chunks that were actually fed to the LLM. Not the metadata, but the raw text chunks themselves. If the answer exists within the target document, but you can see that it never made it into any of the retrieved chunks, your embedding model is not broken. Your retrieval threshold is not the problem. The chunking boundary simply cut the answer in half. Follow that path to the before and after in the center where that jagged red failure line shows a critical answer paragraph split right across 2 chunk boundaries. One chunk gets the context, but the key information ends up in the adjacent non-retrieved snippet. Fix the split. Move your focus down to the center bottom panel. And that common engineering interview question, your RAG system returns relevant documents, but answers are still wrong. What do you check first? Here is the pattern interrupt. 5 years ago saying, I built a RAG pipeline in an interview was a differentiator. In 2026, it is the baseline expectation. What differentiates engineers now is knowing why the pipeline fails, why retrieval returns the wrong chunk, and how to fix it independently. Diagnosing a chunk boundary failure is that high-value answer. While junior candidates will instinctively check the embedding model first, which might be misaligned, or the retrieval threshold, which is a downstream issue, a senior engineer's first instinct is always to check the chunk boundaries. When those boundaries split the difference, the single go-to production fix you should always recommend is the parent-child chunking pattern we just discussed. Before this video, a RAG system that successfully returned the right document felt like a major milestone. After this video, you know that the right document is just the first gate. The chunk boundary is the second, equally vital gate. Miss that second gate, and the LLM generates from wrong context every time. If this 0 to production deep dive helped you look past standard RAG tutorials, subscribe for our bi-weekly product scale insights. To continue this journey, click the link in the description to watch the next video in this series, Embeddings and Vector Databases. Once you have engineered the perfect chunks, how does cosine similarity decide which ones to retrieve?